You took an IQ test when you were 12, scored high, really high. Everyone said the same thing. You're so smart, you're going to do amazing things. Fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, underemployed, hobbies abandoned halfway through, projects that never made it past the planning stage, potential gathering dust. Not because you're incapable, because if you actually try, like really try, and you fail, then you're not the smart one anymore. And that identity, that's the only thing you have left, so you don't try. Better to be the lazy genius than the failed genius. At least lazy has an excuse. If smart but lazy has been your entire personality, if you're not applying yourself was the soundtrack of your childhood, if you've watched people you know are less intelligent than you achieve more, build more, become more, and you tell yourself, I could do that if I wanted to, but you never do. This isn't about laziness. It's about something way more complicated. Fear of trying when you're supposed to be brilliant, chronic understimulation, and the fact that you never learned discipline because everything used to be easy. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of the lazy genius. And I promise you, this goes deeper than just try harder. Stay with me. Let's walk through the lazy genius origin story. Childhood. You were tested, gifted. Elementary school, middle school, it was easy. You didn't study, you didn't need to. You just got it. And everyone praised you for being smart, not for working hard, for being smart. You're so smart. You're so talented. You're gonna do great things. Your identity formed around this one idea. I am the smart one. Adolescence and young adulthood. Then things got harder. High school, college, real life. Suddenly, coasting doesn't work anymore. And here's the problem. You never learned how to work hard. You never had to. So your grades drop. Or maybe you maintain them with the absolute bare minimum effort. But inside, you're struggling. Teachers, parents, everyone. You're not living up to your potential. And that phrase becomes the most painful thing anyone can say to you. Adulthood, underemployed relative to your ability, chronic underachievement in every area. You start projects with fire, brilliant ideas, detailed plans, and then abandon them the second they require sustained effort. Procrastination becomes your default mode. And your defense mechanism? I could do that if I wanted to, but you never do.
Now, the lazy genius shows up in different flavors. Type 1, the coaster, does the bare minimum, always. Good enough is enough. Violently allergic to effort. Defensive when anyone points it out. Type 2, the starter abandoner. Gets obsessed with a new project every month. Quits the second it requires sustained effort. Has a graveyard of hobbies and half-finished ideas. I got bored. Translation, it got hard. Type 3, the analyzer. Over-researches, never executes. Paralysis by analysis. Perfect planning, zero action. Knows everything about the thing, has never actually done the thing. Type 4, the secret striver. Pretends not to try. Actually tries in private. If they succeed, oh, that was easy. If they fail, I didn't even try. Lie. The common thread, all of them are terrified of the same thing, trying hard and failing anyway. Because if you fail when you didn't try, it's not a real failure. But if you fail when you gave it everything, that's proof you were never that smart to begin with. Here's where it gets psychological. Psychologist Carol Dweck identified two types of mindsets, fixed and growth. Fixed mindset. Intelligence is a trait. You either have it or you don't. Growth mindset. Intelligence is built through effort. You get smarter by trying. Guess which one you were raised with? Every time someone said, "You're so smart," they were reinforcing a fixed mindset. They praised you for being smart, a static trait, not for working hard. And here's the devastating result. Effort became evidence that you're not smart, because smart people don't need to try, right? So trying hard, that's admitting you're not actually that intelligent. The internal logic becomes, if I try and fail, then I'm not smart. But if I don't try and fail, the failure doesn't count. It's safer not to try. And that's how the trap closes. Here's the second cause, and it's brutal in its simplicity. You never learned how to struggle. Everything in early life came easy. School was easy, tests were easy. You didn't develop work ethic, frustration tolerance, perseverance through difficulty, actual study skills. Then you hit your first real challenge, and you had no coping mechanisms. No grit, No resilience, just an identity crisis. I'm supposed to be smart, why is this hard? At that point, you had two options. Option 1, learn to struggle, develop discipline. Some people do this. Option 2, avoid struggle entirely, protect the smart identity at all costs. And that's how the lazy genius is born.
Third cause, perfectionism. But not the organized, color-coded planner kind, the paralyzing kind. You have impossibly high standards combined with zero tolerance for frustration. The mental calculation goes like this. If I can't do it perfectly, brilliantly, why do it at all? The project in your head is flawless, but execution is always imperfect. And that gap between the vision and the reality, unbearable. So, you abandon it. All or nothing thinking takes over. Brilliant or nothing. No middle ground. Mediocre feels like failure. So, nothing. You protect the idea of your potential by never testing it. Let's talk about what this is actually costing you. Cost 1, wasted potential. The irony. You're so terrified of wasting your potential that you waste your potential by not trying. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Cost 2, chronic underachievement. Underemployed. Unfulfilled. Projects unfinished, dreams unpursued. And the worst part? Watching people you know are less intelligent than you achieve more. Envy, shame, and that voice. I could do that if I tried, but that's just a coping mechanism, isn't it? Cost 3, identity erosion. Smart kid carried you through childhood, maybe even your 20s, but now you're 30, 40, 50, and I was gifted is past tense. Present tense? There's nothing impressive. So who are you now? Cost 4, relationships. Your partner is frustrated. Your family doesn't understand. You're so smart. Why don't you just… And you get defensive, dismissive. You can't be vulnerable about the fear underneath. Cost 5, regret. Picture yourself at 50, 60. I could have been. If only my potential was past tense. All of it. Here's the devastating question. Would you rather be remembered as smart but lazy or as someone who tried and failed? Here's what I need you to understand. Lazy genius is not a character flaw, moral failure, actual laziness. It's gifted kid trauma. You were told that intelligence was enough. You were praised for being smart, not for working hard. You never learned that effort beats talent. So when talent stopped being enough, you had no other tools, and protecting the smart identity became more important than actually achieving anything, because lazy genius sounds better than tried hard and failed. At least lazy has an excuse. Failure doesn't. Here's the brutal truth. Intelligence without effort is a party trick. Impressive at 12, irrelevant at 30. The world doesn't pay for potential. It pays for output. And I could do that if I tried doesn't go on a resume. Lazy genius isn't genius. It's intelligence on permanent pause. And pause isn't rest, it's decay. So, if the smart but lazy label has defined your whole life, if you're fed up with having to justify your wasted potential, if you're finally ready to admit that the fear of trying is greater than the fear of failing, maybe it's time to let go of that identity that's been protecting you. Because the reality is this: you were never just the smart one. You were always capable of more. You just never learned how to do it. And that isn't your fault. But what will you do next? That's up to you. Tell us in the comments, what excuse do you use to avoid trying? Where are all the former gifted kids? And if this resonated with you, this video explains why you procrastinate so much when it comes to bedtime and what might be causing it. Click here. And if you want more psychology that doesn't sugarcoat the truth, subscribe. It really helps. Thanks for watching. Now go do that thing you've been avoiding.